What's going on, folks? Cardell W. Dream back on another episode of All Around. And get started with the third game of the day as George Mason defeats George Washington 80-65. Convincing win. George Mason dominated the second half, outscoring George Washington 42-23 to make it not even be close of a game after the first close half. Jalen Haynes, Jalen Haynes, Jalen Haynes. Big dog performance tonight. 24 points, 5 rebounds. Jared Billups elevated his offensive game to match what he does defensively. 18 points and 7 rebounds. Darius Maddox, Katie Johnson both chipped in 11 points each. George Washington was led by Rafael Castro with 17 points and 4 rebounds. Christian Jones had 11 points and 2 assists. Gerald Jones Jr. posted 10 points in a losing effort for George Washington. Look, first half, George Washington shot the hell out of the ball. Their three-point shooting was out of this world. They took a 42-38 lead behind an efficient 63% from deep. That's some characteristics for George Mason to allow a team to shoot that, but give George Washington credit. They made some tough shots, tough contested shots. They moved the ball well. They had 15 field goals, but 10 assists on those 15 field goals, along with 10 rebounds and 10 assists. Christian Jones, 11 points, 4 or 5 from the field, 2 or 2 from deep. Drumgoole in the first half, 2 or 2 from deep. Sean Hansen, 1 or 2 from deep. Decoy Hutchinson, 1 or 2 from deep. Ty Bevins, 1 or 1. They had it going in the first half, along with Rafael Castro getting it done inside to balance out the scoring. He posted 13 points on 5 lead shooting and 3 and 3 from the free throw line. It was just an efficient half. It was the type of shooting performance where you look at it, it's like, if you're on George Mason's side, you look at it like, well, we're only down 4. And you look at it like, well, this is an anomaly, honestly, because if George Washington is able to continue to shoot like this, nobody will beat him. But we knew George Mason would probably make a run as they have all season in the second half, and that's exactly what they did. They pressured George Washington out the gate in the second half and went on a 12-0 run to start the second half, took the lead, and never gave it back. Led by Jalen Haynes. When I say he was dominant. Technician inside. Reverse laying, spins, pivots, dunks, mid-range jumpers, get to the free throw line, rolling to the basket, offensive putbacks, lobs. He got it done every which way possible inside to produce. Braden O'Connor had some timely baskets in the second half. With 5 points going that 12-0 run. Offensive putback in the 3. But Jared Billups, 11 points, 3 or 3 in the second half, 1 or 1 from deep, 4 or 5 from the free throw line. His calling card is defense. If he give you between 5 and 10 points a game, you'll take it. For him to elevate and give you what I said, 18 points, that's just huge for George Mason. If he's producing like that to help with what Jalen Haynes gives you, Darius Maddox, Katie Johnson, Braden O'Connor, they're going to be very, very tough to beat in the semis and moving forward. Katie Johnson had some uncharacteristic. He had some turnovers there. I'm pretty sure Tony Tim would love to see him not have moving forward. But regardless, he had some tough shots. 9 points, 3 or 6 in the second half, and Darius Maddox had 5 points, man, and that was the ball game. They totally overwhelmed George Washington. George Mason made 7 out of their last 9 field goals and held George Washington to one of 7 in the whole stretch of the game. Their defense showed up in the second half, and it was just suffocating. They held George Washington to 23% from the field. Now, when I said they shot 60+% from deep, they held George Washington to 60% shooting from deep. And Christian Jones, He finished the first half with 11 points. He finished the game with 11 points. Along with BCU being a top 10 defense, so was George Mason. So you have to really, really execute against George Mason, along with getting stops. And a lot of teams just can't match it. They don't have the personnel and the energy. And honestly, George Washington, once they got rocked with that 12 run, they never really recovered, man. And they had little spurts where they were going to 4-run, 6-run. I believe they got it as close to 13. But then George Mason responded back with another 12-1 run. And that pretty much finished the game for him, man. They held GW scoreless over the last 3:58 of the game, man. Until the very end when Jacory hit some free throws, man. So late in the second half, man. Hell of a game. Hell of a performance from George Mason. They came out, set the tone, set the message. Came out with a lot of energy on both ends, man. And it's gonna be an interesting matchup with when they face whoever wins between St. Joe's and Dayton, who's the last game of the day. Another note: George Mason outscored George Washington 40-22 in the paint. George Mason bench outscored George Washington bench 29-18. George Mason out rebounded George Washington 31-24. George Mason shot better from the free throw line, 76% to 70% from GW. They ended up shooting better from deep, from 3-point range, 41% to George Washington, 39%. And they definitely shot better from the field overall with 57% to George Washington, 42%. Just that second half is just damn near flawless and as well played as you can hope for it if you're Tony Skinner coach, man. So, they move on to their first semifinal game ever since being in the A10. Not ever in their program in the conference, but since they moved to the A10, this is their first semifinal game tomorrow, and they will take on the winner of St. Joe's and Dayton, man. I appreciate you all for joining me. It's been a fun week. Quickly coming to a close, but just stay with me for more coverage of the A10 Men's Basketball Championship. I'll touch back with you guys soon.